Hey everyone, happy Monday. It's Chris coming to you today. And today I wanted to talk about three myths in personal injury cases. And so the first myth that I want to talk about is the myth that if you hire a personal injury attorney, you are going to become a millionaire. And we all see those ads on TV that talk about the cases where, the person got a giant check, and I think it's the thing that's not actually explained is what actually happened to all of the money and how is it dispersed and distributed. So they can talk about the total settlement amount or the verdict award, but then how is it divvied out? So how much is the attorney taking or the law firm taking? And then also how much is going back to pay medical providers and care providers at that point too? And then how much is the client actually getting in pocket? So that is myth number one. And I always often talk to my potential clients that, we kind of go through their injuries and things like that and talk about, hey, you have a case that, where you're not going to end up on TV, you're not going to end up retiring from this. And that's not generally what we do. So we do that to try to help people recover and get compensated for their injuries. Myth number two is going to be that I need to spend a lot of money on my lawyer. And at least at Springs Law Group, you don't put down a retainer. It's not like a family law case or a criminal case. You don't pay an hourly rate. Additionally, it's not like an estate planning case where you would pay a flat fee. So those things are not true. We actually work on what's called a contingency fee, which is a percentage off of the final settlement amount. And then at Springs Law Group, what we do too is we have it in our fee agreement that we will never take more in fees than your net recovery. So we would actually potentially, dependent upon the circumstances of your specific case, would lower our fees so that they are equal to or less than your net recovery or your final fee amount. And so that's one of those things too. So you don't need to put money down on us. We actually front all costs up, for the case, which is getting medical records and doing things like that up until the end, and then we're paid back in our costs. And so that's how that works there. Um, Myth number three is the idea that when you have a case, and I was talking to a potential client about this, is the idea that the person that hit you, if you're in an auto accident, the at fault party, needed some sort of malice or bad intent. And we get asked a lot, look, I don't want to be a bad, greedy guy and hurt this, sue this person. But the reality is, from a civil justice standpoint, the question I always have for our clients is, what did you do wrong that day? When you were sitting stopped at the red light, did you do anything wrong? And the reality is, the answer is no. And so then, if you end up with a shoulder injury from that accident, for example, and then now that injury lingers for a long time, should you be responsible for paying for that? Because you did nothing wrong. And so that's kind of how we approach it. And it's not about necessarily, going out after the other person and you being viewed as a bad guy. But there's a form of civil justice that needs to take place because you didn't do anything wrong that day. You followed the traffic laws, for example, in an auto case, and you did exactly what you should be doing. It's just the other person was negligent, not having malice or anything like that. They were just negligent. They weren't following the law the way it should be followed. If they were speeding, they were following too closely, things like that. And so those are three myths that we have and that we talk about in our personal injury cases. The other tip too, just a side tip, would be if you are in an accident, call the police. Do not do handshake deals with the other side, things like that. And the reason being is you want the police, it's a law, but you also want the police to make a record. So it'd be a third party, which is the police, making a record of the accident. So they can take police photos. They're going to mark the damages on the car, also talk to potential witnesses and things like that. So make sure that you're calling the police if you're in an accident. It's the law, but also it's not a bad thing to do. So don't view yourself as a bad guy if you call the police at that time. Just know that it's required and it's something that you should be doing. And it will help you out more in the long run than hurt you. So those are some of my tips for today. If you guys have any questions, feel free and reach out to us. Hope everybody's having a good day, and we'll talk to you all later. Bye now.